Hello everyone and welcome back to another Unity tutorial. So last time we have added the bombs to our player character, but let's run the game, and as you see, just a second to wait for it to start. If I place the bomb and wait for it to explode, we don't see any effects. So that's what we are going to add this time. First of all, we go to the bomb script and we will prepare the effects here, then we will get to creating them. So we need the prefabs for sprites for the explosion beam, so serialize field, and we will have two of those. One will be the regular beam, but both are of type game object because they'll be prefabs, so game object, and we will call this one beam. This one will be called beam end. So one is for the body of the beam or the first part. One is for the end because it will be a little bit rounded towards the end to mark that the beam ends there. And we need to go down here for explode. And before we destroy the game object, we will create another function. We call it detonate. We will implement it here. So let's copy this over here. Call this detonate, and here is what we're going to do here. First of all, in order to do that, we need, let me draw something really quick. So suppose we have the bomb here. We needed to spread its explosion in 4 different ways. That's what we're going to do now. Then we're going to take care of blocks being on the sides and what's their type. Also about the beam and beam end. So if the bomb is here and it's going to explode this way, the explosion will go like this. Then during at the last sprite, it will be rounded, something like this, not straight line. Okay, so let's do that. We need to make things simple, so we'll create different functions, and we'll call this one spread. We will call it for the 4 different directions. Vector2 dot up, down, left, and right. Then we will implement this spread function. So private void spread. It will take as a parameter vector2. We will call it direction or dir. Then what we need to know here is the origin point of the bomb. So that's vector2 origin is transform, sorry, not true, transform dot position. Also, what we're going to need is, well, we'll take care of the recasts later. Actually, you know what? We can do that right now. So, sorry, I had to pause the recording. Something happened. Okay, let's continue. I don't like editing parts out because it's annoying. Just like that. Okay. As I was saying, where were we? So, yeah, we have the origin and we are going to spread the explosion in different directions. We need to calculate the position where the explosion is going to be spawned, right? In order to do that, we are going to get position, so vector2 was, and this is going to be the transform, so vector2 transform dot position, or we can just use the origin. We will add to it direction and we multiply it by our range, which we'll add right now. So we'll change that here. Private float, we will call this one Actually, we will need it public because later we will add power-ups that can increase our range. So public range, it will have a getter and a setter. Oh, I didn't try to type here, float. Okay, and it has a getter and setter. This is a property for those who do not know C sharp. It's like declaring a private member called range and then a public getter and setter for it. This just makes it shorter and it's called the property. So back down here, we have calculated the position of the first explosion here, and now we will create it. So instantiate where at that position we are going to sorry, not regular instantiate, because we have to calculate the rotation. So I guess let's write the skeleton for this part and then we will implement it. So we will create a function instantiate beam, and this one will take the position where it's going to be instantiated, the direction we are going to know how to calculate the rotation properly, and we can also pass true or false to determine if it's an end beam or not. We'll start with an end beam for now. So we will set range by default to 1. So the first beam is the last one. Then what we're going to do is for each remaining range, we will create an incrementer starting at 1 because at minimum we'll create one and it's going to be the end beam. This is the position of the last one in this direction. And we will go back from there, going back to the bomb's position. So this is going to be while position. So the position of the current beam minus origin, the origin of the bomb. And we want to take the magnitude of this. So the distance between them basically is greater than 1. That means we still have an extra slot at least to add another explosion, another beam there. You'll see what this is later. It will become clearer. We will just decrease the position of the new beam that we are going to create by I times direction. So let me explain this a little bit here. Okay, so we have the bomb. This is it. Then when we create the beam for the explosion, we will start by the last one here. Then we will create the others one by one, going back to the bomb until there is no space to add another one. That's when we stop. So while there is some space for another explosion, we will create it. And this, of course, will be false because these ones won't be end beams. Okay, now all that's left to do is implement this, and it's pretty straightforward. So private void, we will call it instantiate beam. It will take vector2 position, a vector2 for direction, and a boolean for end beam. What we are going to do here is very simple if statements, and they will determine the rotation, aka the quaternion, because as we said before, we use quaternion in coding in programming to set rotations. By default, it will be identity, so no rotation. Then, depending on the direction, we have if dir if dir equals vector2 dot up. Let's remove this. Let's set all the conditions first, then we will implement them. One is up, one is down, Uh, Down. One is left and one is right. Okay. Just a second, guys. I'm hearing some noise, so let me close the door just a second. Okay, we're back. So, we were setting these, right? Okay. So, if we are going upwards, by default, as we have here, let's check how the beam is oriented. Waiting for the compilation, and they are horizontal, and this one is oriented to the left, so we have to rotate this one upwards. This will make the quaternion equals quaternion, not data identity, from rotate. No, there is something called Euler angles, Euler in new version, and for all the versions of Unity, I think it was Euler angles. So keep that in mind, and we are going to rotate it by minus 90 degrees in order to make, let me also draw this again. So if we have something going this way, in order to make it go upwards like this, it's in this direction, 90 degrees, so that's minus 90. This direction is negative, this direction is positive. Okay, let's get going. And then for down, it's plus 90 degrees. For left, we don't have to do anything because by default they're like that. So I won't change, I will remove this. And for right, it's 180 degrees, not 18, 180. And this will instantiate the beam. So instantiate. And if it is an AND beam, it's going to take beam AND. Otherwise, it's beam. So this is ternary conditional operator. If this is true, you take the first value. Otherwise, you take the second value. And you will give it the position and the rotation. Just like that. Okay, I think we're good. Let's go back to... we are already in the bomb script, okay? Let's go back to the game, wait for it to compile. How long has this been going? Okay, 12 minutes. We can still go a little. This is taking forever. What we're going to do next is add a timer and an animation for the beams to disappear after a time that we are going to set. I don't know how much we are going to put. I think the good value I found is something between 0.5 seconds and 1 second. I don't remember. We haven't created the prefabs, you're right. So for now we are just going to drag them here. And we will create prefabs out of that. So we simply drag and drop them there as we did, and then we go to the prefabs folder. Okay, which one was the end beam? This one. So we call this one beam end, and this one will be just beam. We'll drag and drop both of them here. For all the Unity versions, you have to drag them one by one. It does not support dragging multiple things to make them prefab. Yeah, like that. Then we can get rid of these two. Also make sure here what was the on the sprite renderer, order in layer was 10. Make sure you put the same thing in here, otherwise it won't be visible. Go to the bomb prefab and assign both of these. Let's run the game. And as you see, we have created an explosion. It does not disappear yet, we haven't added that. And let's change the range for the bomb to be something like... we have hard set it in the code, okay. Let's go back here and set it to something like 5. Or, you know what, let's make it visible on the inspector. In order to do that, for a property, you cannot just write serialize field because that won't work. You have to add this before it. field, serialize field. Now when we go to the prefab here, you can see the range, change it to 5. Let's save. You don't have to save actually, but I'm just making sure I don't lose my progress. Let's put the bump here. And you see we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in each direction. It goes over walls because that's what we are going to take care of in this part or the next part. So 15 minutes, I guess this is enough. In the next part then. Thank you guys for watching. Like the video if you like it, don't forget to subscribe, and tell me if you like the new aspect ratio 16:9 instead of widescreen. Goodbye, don't forget to subscribe, and see you another time.